The Millionaire Next Door. Welcome to The Millionaire Next Door, The Surprising Secrets of America's Wealthy, written by Thomas J. Stanley and William D. Danko. This book is not about overnight success or the glamorous kind of wealth you see on social media. It's about real millionaires, ordinary people living next door, driving used cars, wearing regular clothes, and quietly building their wealth through discipline, consistency, and smart financial decisions. In this audiobook summary, we'll dive deep into the mindset and habits of these self-made millionaires. You'll learn what truly separates them from those who only look rich. You'll discover how they think, how they manage money, and how you can apply their lessons to your own financial journey. So sit back, relax, and open your mind, because this book may completely change the way you think about wealth, success, and financial freedom. Introduction. In the introduction, the authors reveal a shocking truth. The real millionaires are not who you think they are. They are not the ones with luxury cars, designer clothes, or flashy houses. They are the people living quietly in middle-class neighborhoods. People who have built wealth by saving more than they spend, by living below their means, and by making their money work for them. Thomas Stanley and William Danko spent years studying the habits of America's wealthy. They surveyed thousands of households, expecting to find patterns of luxury and extravagance. But instead, they found the opposite. Most millionaires were not high-income spenders. They were disciplined savers and investors who made consistent, smart financial decisions over time. The authors also discovered something surprising. Many people who look rich, the ones driving expensive cars and living in big houses, are not truly wealthy. They spend most of what they earn trying to look successful, but have very little net worth. Meanwhile, the quiet millionaire next door might be wearing simple clothes, driving an old pickup truck, and still have a portfolio worth millions. The introduction sets the tone for the entire book. Wealth is not about how much you earn, but how much you keep and how you grow it. It's not about impressing others, it's about financial independence. True wealth is quiet, it's humble, it's patient. The authors encourage readers to redefine success. Instead of chasing income or image, focus on building assets and minimizing liabilities. Because the real secret of the millionaire next door is not luck. It's discipline, self-control, and purpose. Chapter 1. Meet the millionaire next door. When most people think of millionaires, they imagine fancy houses, sports cars, and designer brands. But in reality, the millionaire next door doesn't fit that image at all. He could be your neighbor, your local business owner, or even the person mowing his own lawn down the street. The first chapter introduces us to the surprising characteristics of America's real millionaires. They are ordinary people who live well below their means. They build their wealth slowly, quietly, and intentionally. Instead of focusing on income, they focus on net worth, the total value of what they own minus what they owe. The authors explain that many people confuse high income with wealth. But income alone doesn't make someone rich. There are doctors and lawyers earning six figures who are drowning in debt. And then there are small business owners who never earned huge salaries but retired as millionaires because they managed their money wisely. True millionaires understand that wealth is a result of behavior, not just opportunity. They live on purpose. They set clear goals, budget their spending, invest consistently, and avoid unnecessary debt. They are producers, not consumers. Most of these millionaires don't inherit their money. About 80% of them are self-made. They didn't win the lottery, and they didn't wait for a big break. They became wealthy because they valued independence over appearance. One of the book's powerful ideas is the contrast between PAWs, prodigious accumulators of wealth, and UAWs, under-accumulators of wealth. PAWs save and invest aggressively. They think long-term. UAWs, on the other hand, spend to impress others. They often live paycheck to paycheck, no matter how big their income. Imagine two people. One earns 200,000 Cuban pesos a month but spends 190,000 Cuban pesos. The other earns 50,000 Cuban pesos but spends only 30,000 Cuban pesos. After a few years, the second person will be much wealthier. That's the essence of the millionaire next door mindset. The authors share that the average millionaire spends less than 7% of their income on luxury cars and often drives a vehicle that's several years old. They buy quality, not luxury. They believe that a car's purpose is to bring you from point A to point B, not to show off. They also choose their homes wisely. Instead of buying the biggest house they can afford, they buy what they need. They know that large houses come with higher taxes, maintenance, and social pressure to spend more. So they stay simple and invest the difference. Another common trait among millionaires is that they budget carefully. They know exactly how much they earn, how much they spend, and how much they save. Wealth doesn't grow by accident, it grows by design. Every peso or dollar has a purpose. They also teach their children the value of money early on. They don't spoil them with luxury. They teach them discipline. Many millionaires fear what the authors call economic outpatient care, giving too much financial help to their kids, which often leads to dependency rather than independence. The millionaire next door is not afraid to work hard. Many of them are small business owners, self-employed professionals, or independent contractors. They create value, take calculated risks, and make sacrifices. But they also enjoy freedom, the freedom that comes from not being controlled by debt or by the opinions of others. The chapter also points out an important emotional aspect. Most millionaires are content. They don't chase every new trend or luxury. Their happiness comes from security, not status. They find satisfaction in knowing they're financially independent and in control of their future. And perhaps the most powerful message of this chapter is that anyone can become a millionaire next door. You don't need a high-paying job or a rich family. You need discipline, patience, and the courage to live differently from the crowd. If you live below your means, invest wisely, and stay consistent over time, wealth will quietly grow, just like the millionaires living next door. Chapter 2. Frugal, frugal, frugal. Frugality is the foundation of every true millionaire's story. It's not a punishment or a sign of poverty. It's a lifestyle choice rooted in discipline and self-respect. The authors, Stanley and William Danko, discovered that most millionaires don't become rich because they earn more than everyone else. They become rich because they spend less than everyone else. This chapter opens by reminding us that wealth isn't measured by what you buy, but by what you keep. In a world that constantly pushes people to spend, frugality becomes an act of rebellion, a quiet declaration that you control your money, not the other way around. The word frugal often sounds boring to many people, but to millionaires it means freedom. It means choosing what truly matters. It means saying no to impulse spending and yes to long-term security. Every peso or dollar saved is a step closer to financial independence. Frugal people don't live deprived lives. They simply value money for what it can do, not for what it can buy. They understand that every purchase has an opportunity cost. If they buy something unnecessary today, that money loses the chance to grow tomorrow. The authors explain that the typical millionaire plans their spending carefully. Before buying anything, they ask themselves, do I really need this? Will this purchase help me reach my goals? This simple habit keeps them from wasting money on things that provide short-term pleasure but long-term regret. Frugality, however, is not about being cheap. It's about being wise. Cheapness focuses on paying less, while frugality focuses on getting more value for your money. Millionaires don't always buy the lowest-priced item. They buy what's durable, practical, and necessary. For example, they might spend more on a high-quality pair of shoes that lasts 10 years rather than buying a cheap one every few months. They understand that true savings come from long-term thinking. Stanley and Danko reveal that the average millionaire spends far less than the average person on consumer goods. They don't care about the latest phone or designer brand. They care about assets that generate income, investments, businesses, or real estate. To the millionaire next door, every peso saved is like a little soldier sent out to work and multiply. Over time, these soldiers build an army of wealth, small, consistent savings turning into financial power. The authors share that many millionaires have a strict household budget. They know exactly how much they can afford to spend each month and never go beyond it. While others use credit cards to extend their lifestyle, millionaires use cash or pay off their balances immediately. They don't like debt because debt means losing control. Frugality also shows up in how millionaires manage their lifestyle. They don't upgrade cars every year, they don't remodel their homes just to follow trends, and they don't chase what others have. Instead, they maintain what they own and make it last. One millionaire in the book admitted that he still wears a simple watch he bought 25 years ago. Not because he can't afford a luxury one, but because it still tells time perfectly. His goal isn't to impress others, but to live comfortably and independently. Another example shared in the research describes a couple who never earned more than an average income but lived modestly their entire lives. They packed lunch, avoided unnecessary vacations, and focused on saving. By retirement, they had quietly accumulated several $1,000,000. Nobody ever guessed they were wealthy, not even their close friends. Frugality requires emotional strength. It's not easy to live differently when everyone around you is chasing status and trends. It means learning to say no when others say yes. It means driving an older car while your friends drive brand new ones, and being okay with it. Millionaires understand this trade-off. They know that temporary sacrifices lead to permanent rewards. The joy of being debt-free, financially secure, and independent is far greater than the fleeting excitement of a luxury purchase. The book highlights that the mindset of frugality is deeply tied to purpose. Millionaires don't save just for the sake of saving, they save because they have goals. They want to build a business, secure their family's future, retire comfortably, or give back to their community. Purpose gives their discipline meaning. Frugal people also understand that money brings choices. The more they save, the more freedom they have. Freedom to work less, travel more, or help others. They don't see saving as a loss. They see it as gaining power over their own lives. Interestingly, the authors discovered that the least frugal people are often those who try hardest to look rich. They spend more than they earn just to maintain an image. But behind that image are credit card debts, stress, and insecurity. Millionaires avoid that trap. They don't care about showing off because their confidence comes from within. They don't need validation from others. Their peace of mind is their true luxury. Frugality also extends to how they teach their children. Many millionaires raise their kids to appreciate money and to work for what they want. They avoid spoiling them with unnecessary gifts. They'd rather help them learn the value of effort, savings, and responsibility. The authors call this teaching through example. When children grow up seeing their parents save, plan, and live modestly, they naturally adopt the same mindset. Frugality becomes part of the family culture. This chapter also makes it clear that frugality is not about how much you earn, but how much you control. Even someone earning a modest salary can build wealth if they manage it wisely. The key is consistency, spending less, saving regularly, and investing patiently. Frugality builds wealth slowly, but surely. It doesn't promise instant success, but it guarantees stability. And once a person understands its power, they never go back to the lifestyle of overspending and debt. As the chapter closes, the authors remind us that real millionaires don't see frugality as a limitation. They see it as a strategy. It gives them control, peace, and freedom. Every peso saved is a step toward a future where they no longer depend on anyone else. Frugality is not the absence of joy, it's the presence of purpose. It's choosing long-term happiness over short-term pleasure. It's the quiet strength behind every millionaire next door. Because when you master frugality, you no longer chase wealth, you build it one wise decision at a time. Chapter 3: Time, Energy, and Money. One of the most defining traits of the millionaire next door is their mastery of resources. Not just money, but time and energy as well. While most people focus solely on income, millionaires understand that every minute and every action carries value. They treat time as carefully as they treat their finances because they know it is their most limited asset. Time, they realize, is the one thing you can never earn back. Once a day passes, it's gone forever. So, the millionaire next door approaches life with intention. They plan their days, prioritize their work, and eliminate distractions that steal time without providing value. Energy is equally precious. Millionaires choose activities that energize them, not deplete them. They avoid unnecessary arguments, draining social situations, or tasks that do not contribute to their goals. Just as they invest money wisely, they invest their energy where it counts. The book explains that many people squander their time pursuing instant gratification. Hours are spent binge-watching shows, scrolling endlessly on social media, or indulging in shopping sprees. Millionaires, however, convert these hours into productive actions, learning, building skills, networking, and managing investments. Stanley and Danko highlight a fascinating pattern. Millionaires are highly self-disciplined in how they use their day. They rise early, organize their schedules, and focus on priorities that generate the greatest returns. Their mornings often include planning, reviewing finances, and setting daily goals. This discipline extends to their money as well. Just as they budget time, they budget finances. Every peso is accounted for, every expense justified. They avoid impulsive purchases and redirect that money into savings, investments, or business opportunities. The authors describe how millionaires often work differently from the average worker. Many are self-employed, business owners, or professionals who control their schedules. They trade time for value, but they also create systems that allow their money to work for them. Time and energy are leveraged, multiplied, and invested wisely. An example given in the book illustrates a small business owner who carefully allocates his day. Instead of jumping from task to task chaotically, he blocks time for client work, marketing, and planning. Each block of time is purposeful, ensuring that his energy is spent on activities that generate the highest returns. The chapter also explores the concept of opportunity cost. Every hour spent unproductively is money lost. Millionaires constantly assess whether their actions are moving them closer to financial independence. They understand that being busy is not the same as being productive. Another important insight is that millionaires delegate effectively. They recognize that their energy is limited, so they hire or collaborate with others for tasks that do not require their personal attention. Delegation allows them to focus on activities that have the most significant impact on wealth accumulation. The book emphasizes the balance between work and rest. Millionaires do not overwork themselves blindly. They schedule breaks, rest, and time for reflection. Rest is not wasted. It replenishes energy, enhances decision-making, and prevents burnout. By managing time and energy effectively, they maintain clarity and focus over decades, not just months. Financial independence is often a direct result of how well they manage time and energy. Saving and investing alone are not enough if your days are wasted on distractions or low-value tasks. Millionaires see the connection between disciplined action and long-term wealth. The authors reveal that planning is central to this approach. Millionaires often write out weekly, monthly, and yearly goals. They track progress meticulously, adjusting their strategies when necessary. They are proactive, not reactive. They understand that fortune favors the prepared. Time management also includes careful consideration of personal habits. Millionaires avoid lifestyle inflation. They don't let their time be consumed by unnecessary luxury commitments or social obligations. They prioritize activities that align with their goals and values. Energy management can also mean avoiding negative influences. Millionaires surround themselves with supportive people, mentors, and peers who encourage growth. Toxic relationships, gossip, and unnecessary drama are minimized. Every ounce of mental energy is reserved for creating value and achieving independence. The book highlights that millionaires also use time to continuously learn. Reading, attending workshops, and gaining new skills are consistent parts of their routine. They invest in themselves because the knowledge gained is one of the most powerful tools for wealth accumulation. Money, of course, is a finite resource, but time and energy are far more valuable. Millionaires treat these three resources, time, energy, and money, as interconnected. Wise allocation of each ensures that one reinforces the other. For example, investing money wisely can save time later through passive income, while managing energy ensures that the effort invested yields maximum results. The authors also explore the idea of work-life integration. Millionaires do not view work as separate from life. They integrate their goals, passions, and responsibilities, creating a lifestyle where productivity and purpose coexist naturally. Discipline in managing time, energy, and money extends to personal finances as well. Millionaires track expenses meticulously, avoid debt traps, and focus on long-term accumulation. They are not seduced by fleeting pleasures but guided by the vision of independence and security. By managing these three resources carefully, millionaires achieve more with less. They create systems, leverage skills, and focus relentlessly on what truly matters. They become architects of their own financial destinies, rather than spectators of life. This chapter drives home a central truth. Wealth is not a result of luck or inheritance. It is the outcome of deliberate decisions every day, how you spend your time, where you direct your energy, and how you manage your money. The millionaire next door is patient, disciplined, and intentional. They understand that small, consistent actions compound over time. Every hour wisely spent, every peso carefully invested, and every ounce of energy thoughtfully applied brings them closer to true independence. In conclusion, the lesson is clear. If you want to become a millionaire next door, you must treat time, energy, and money as treasures. Protect them, use them wisely, and invest them purposefully. Wealth will follow, quietly but surely, like it does for those who understand the power of disciplined living. Chapter 4. You aren't what you drive. One of the most common misconceptions about wealth is that it can be measured by what someone drives. Expensive cars, flashy SUVs, and luxury vehicles are often mistaken for proof of financial success. But the truth, as Stanley and Danko reveal, is that most millionaires drive modest vehicles, and the car you see does not always reflect the wealth behind it. The millionaire next door does not buy cars to impress others. They buy cars for reliability, longevity, and practicality. Their focus is on minimizing expenses, not maximizing attention. A luxury car may bring admiration from neighbors, but it comes at a cost: insurance, maintenance, taxes, and depreciation, all of which drain wealth rather than build it. The authors emphasize that lifestyle inflation is the silent enemy of wealth accumulation. People often increase spending as income rises, buying bigger houses, newer cars, and luxury items to match their salary rather than their net worth. Millionaires consciously avoid this trap. They understand that appearances are not a measure of success. Financial security is. Driving a modest car is a conscious decision. It frees money for investments, savings, and other assets that grow over time. A used, reliable vehicle may not impress friends, but it contributes silently to a life of financial freedom. This is a principle the authors call wealth over image. The chapter shares examples of millionaires who have owned the same car for a decade or more. They maintain it meticulously and see no need to upgrade just because a new model has been released. This frugality extends beyond cars to other areas of life as well: homes, clothing, vacations, and entertainment. Stanley and Danko found that millionaires often budget for transportation carefully. They calculate total cost of ownership, including fuel, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation, rather than just looking at the sticker price. This meticulous approach ensures their money is used wisely. The book also explores the psychological aspect of appearances. Many people feel pressured to keep up with peers, believing that a fancy car or luxury items will earn respect. Millionaires, however, derive confidence from their knowledge, independence, and financial control, not from material symbols. By choosing practicality over flashiness, millionaires gain freedom. They are not enslaved to debt or social expectations. They are free to allocate resources to what truly matters: investments, businesses, and long-term security. Their choices may seem modest to outsiders, but they reflect a deep understanding of wealth creation. The authors explain that this principle applies beyond cars. The homes they live in, the vacations they take, and the clothes they wear all reflect purpose rather than showmanship. Wealthy individuals avoid overextending themselves to maintain appearances. They prioritize function, comfort, and sustainability over status. There's also a social lesson in this chapter. The people who appear wealthy are not always financially secure. Many high-income earners spend extravagantly to keep up with a perceived lifestyle, leaving them with little or no net worth. Conversely, the quiet millionaires may appear ordinary but are far richer in reality. The chapter further emphasizes that financial decisions should be intentional. Millionaires make purchases consciously, asking, "Will this help me reach my financial goals?" Or is it just a temporary thrill? They delay gratification and value long-term benefits over short-term pleasure. One fascinating observation in the book is the distinction between perceived wealth and real wealth. Society often judges success by visible markers like cars, clothes, and homes. Millionaires understand that true wealth is hidden. It's in bank accounts, investments, retirement funds, and equity, not in possessions on display. The authors share stories of millionaires who drive 10-year-old cars and wear simple clothing, yet their net worth far surpasses that of their high-spending peers. These examples highlight a critical mindset. Wealth is not about what you show, but what you save and grow. The chapter also addresses peer pressure and societal expectations. Millionaires are comfortable resisting trends and social norms. They don't succumb to comparison or envy. They measure success by their own progress, not by anyone else's approval. By living below their means, millionaires reduce stress and increase options. They are not trapped by car loans, mortgages, or high monthly payments. They can redirect resources to investments, education, or entrepreneurial ventures that generate more wealth. Another key insight is that practical financial decisions compound over time. Every peso saved by avoiding unnecessary luxury can grow through investments. A modest car purchased today might seem inconsequential, but over decades, it translates into significant wealth. The authors make a compelling point. You don't have to sacrifice comfort to be frugal. A reliable, well-maintained car provides transportation and convenience without creating financial strain. The millionaire next door chooses efficiency, not status. This principle extends to career and work choices. Millionaires often pursue careers or businesses that provide both income and long-term stability. They understand the value of risk management and avoid decisions motivated solely by image or prestige. By rejecting the temptation to display wealth, millionaires gain clarity. Their resources are aligned with goals rather than social approval. They become masters of their finances, not slaves to perception. The chapter concludes with a simple yet powerful lesson. Appearances are deceptive. True wealth is measured not by what you have on display, but by what you keep, grow, and invest. Driving a modest car, living in a practical home, and avoiding luxury traps are not signs of limitation. They are signs of intelligence, discipline, and foresight. In essence, The Millionaire Next Door teaches us that financial independence comes from choices, not status. It comes from living intentionally, valuing substance over show, and building a life that is sustainable, secure, and free. The quiet millionaire may not turn heads on the street, but they are turning their financial future into something extraordinary, one wise decision at a time. Chapter 5: Economic Outpatient Care. In this chapter, the authors introduce a concept that is often overlooked but critical to building true wealth: economic outpatient care. This refers to the financial assistance given by parents to their adult children in ways that can actually harm them rather than help. While it may come from love and good intentions, excessive support can prevent independence and undermine the very success parents hope to foster. Stanley and Danko reveal a startling truth. Many affluent families unintentionally weaken their children's ability to create wealth by over-supporting them financially. Children who grow up receiving unrestricted aid may struggle to develop the discipline, resourcefulness, and accountability needed to manage money wisely. Economic outpatient care can take many forms: paying for a car, covering rent, funding vacations, or constantly bailing children out of financial trouble. While these gestures feel generous, they often teach dependence rather than financial responsibility. They delay the development of critical skills like budgeting, saving, and investing. The authors explain that self-made millionaires rarely receive this type of aid. Instead, they learn early on to handle money, face consequences, and take ownership of their financial decisions. They understand that independence is more valuable than temporary comfort. Parents who provide excessive financial support often believe they are helping their children succeed. However, this safety net can have the opposite effect. It shields them from reality, from learning to live within their means, and from understanding the value of hard work. Stanley and Danko emphasize that economic outpatient care does not only affect young adults. It can also influence family relationships, create resentment, and foster unrealistic expectations. Children may come to view wealth as something to inherit or receive, rather than something to build. One of the most important lessons of this chapter is that love and discipline are not mutually exclusive. Parents can support their children without compromising their ability to achieve independence. Teaching financial skills, encouraging savings, and fostering accountability are far more valuable than giving unrestricted funds. The book shares real-life examples of families where adult children relied heavily on parental support. Many of these children struggled to maintain stable jobs, manage personal finances, or invest wisely. Their dependence limited their growth and, ironically, often left parents financially burdened for longer than necessary. Conversely, children who were encouraged to work, budget, and save early developed habits that allowed them to accumulate wealth over time. They understood the power of compound interest, the importance of delaying gratification, and the value of hard-earned money. These lessons were critical in shaping the next generation of self-made millionaires. Economic outpatient care also reveals a cultural truth. Society often equates generosity with giving money, but true generosity is teaching skills that lead to independence. Wealth without knowledge can be fleeting, while knowledge without wealth can still create opportunity. The authors highlight that millionaires intentionally limit financial assistance to their children. They may help with education, provide guidance, or offer small, structured support, but always in a way that encourages responsibility and self-reliance. They set boundaries, ensuring that aid does not become a crutch. By establishing these boundaries, millionaires protect both their own wealth and their children's future success. They understand that the goal is not to create dependence, but to equip children with the tools to thrive independently. The chapter also explores psychological dynamics. Children who receive unrestricted support may develop a sense of entitlement. They may expect solutions to be handed to them rather than learning to solve problems themselves. Millionaires avoid this trap by instilling accountability from an early age. Stanley and Danko point out that independence breeds creativity. Children who must manage their own resources, face challenges, and overcome obstacles develop problem-solving skills, resilience, and self-confidence. These qualities are essential for building lasting wealth. Parents who provide unrestricted aid often fail to realize that money alone cannot replace character, discipline, or skill. Millionaires understand this. They invest in teaching their children values, habits, and knowledge that cannot be bought. The book also stresses that economic outpatient care is a two-way street. Parents must balance generosity with strategy, ensuring that support enhances growth rather than undermines it. This approach often requires difficult conversations and setting firm expectations. For example, a parent may offer to help pay for college tuition, but require the child to work part-time, manage a budget, or contribute in other ways. This encourages responsibility while still providing meaningful support. The chapter emphasizes long-term thinking. Millionaires are concerned with the enduring success of their children, not temporary comfort. By teaching independence, they empower the next generation to create wealth, maintain it, and pass it on responsibly. Stanley and Danko also explore the irony of excessive support. While intended to help, it often results in dependence, poor decision-making, and delayed financial maturity. Wealthy parents must resist the temptation to solve every problem with money. The lesson here is profound. Freedom and capability cannot be bought. They are earned through experience, responsibility, and self-discipline. Economic outpatient care, if mismanaged, robs children of these crucial lessons. Millionaires understand that the ultimate gift they can give their children is independence. Teaching them to manage their own money, make informed choices, and navigate financial challenges equips them with the foundation for real success. This chapter concludes with a reminder that money alone does not create wealth. It is how one uses money that matters. Parents who nurture financial discipline in their children, while avoiding oversupport, plant the seeds for a future generation of millionaires next door. Economic outpatient care is a cautionary tale. Generosity without strategy can hinder rather than help. The millionaire next door chooses wisely, balancing support with accountability, and ensuring that independence, not dependence, is the legacy passed down. Chapter 6. Affirmative Action, Family Style. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko explore how family dynamics influence financial success. Just as economic outpatient care can hinder growth, the patterns and support structures within families can also shape the wealth-building potential of the next generation. Some families unconsciously create conditions that foster financial dependence, while others cultivate independence and self-reliance. The authors describe family-style affirmative action as the deliberate or unconscious decisions parents make to either help or hinder their children financially. It's not about intention alone. What really matters is the outcome. Families that teach independence produce self-made millionaires. Families that oversupport often produce dependence. Millionaires understand the importance of modeling good financial behavior. They don't just talk about budgeting, saving, and investing, they practice it in their daily lives. Children who grow up observing these behaviors naturally internalize them, making disciplined financial choices a norm rather than an exception. Family influence also extends to career choices. Millionaires often encourage their children to pursue meaningful work that builds skills and independence rather than jobs that simply pay well or carry prestige. The focus is on long-term growth, problem-solving, and self-sufficiency. The chapter emphasizes that wealth creation is a multi-generational endeavor. Parents who understand this balance structure their support to empower children rather than shelter them. They might provide mentorship, education, or initial capital for a business, but always with guidance and expectation of accountability. Stanley and Danko highlight patterns observed in families that successfully raise millionaires. These children often learn early to manage allowances, save part of every gift, and contribute to household responsibilities. They see firsthand how financial discipline creates opportunity and stability. Conversely, families that prioritize status, appearances, or overindulgence often hinder wealth-building potential. Children from these households may develop poor spending habits, unrealistic expectations, and reliance on others to solve their problems. The authors warn that this helping can unintentionally limit their capacity to thrive independently. The book shares real-life examples of families where affirmative action worked positively. Parents provided support for education, career training, or startup ventures, but always required planning, budgeting, and accountability. Children learned to manage resources, make informed decisions, and take calculated risks. These families created environments where financial growth was both possible and sustainable. Another important point in this chapter is the role of siblings. Millionaires often grow up in households where resources are distributed fairly, and all children are expected to contribute in proportion to their abilities. This fosters a sense of responsibility and encourages independence rather than favoritism or entitlement. Stanley and Danko also examine the emotional impact of family financial patterns. Children who are overly supported may struggle with self-confidence, decision-making, and resilience. In contrast, those taught independence gain confidence in their abilities, learning that effort and discipline produce results. The authors stress that teaching children to value hard work and delayed gratification is more important than providing immediate financial benefits. Millionaires prioritize lessons over gifts, understanding that knowledge, habits, and mindset are far more valuable than money alone. Family-style affirmative action also includes encouraging entrepreneurship. Millionaires often support small business ventures or side projects for their children, but they do so in a way that fosters accountability, problem-solving, and self-reliance. Failure is treated as a learning opportunity, not a reason for rescue. The chapter discusses that parents who succeed in raising independent, financially capable children create boundaries. They avoid bailing children out of mistakes too quickly and emphasize the consequences of decisions. This tough love may feel uncomfortable at times, but it strengthens character and financial acumen. Millionaires recognize that independence is a skill learned over time. The family environment can either nurture this skill or stunt it. Support is provided thoughtfully, not indiscriminately, ensuring that children develop the tools to manage their finances, career, and life effectively. The book also explores the long-term benefits of this approach. Children raised in disciplined, financially intelligent households often surpass the wealth and success of their parents. They internalize habits that produce long-lasting independence and prosperity. Stanley and Danko emphasize that creating this environment requires awareness, patience, and consistency. Parents must resist societal pressures to overspend, indulge, or overprotect, understanding that their role is to guide rather than solve every problem. One powerful insight is that the millionaire next door often comes from a household that balances support with expectation. Children are taught that help is available, but only if effort, planning, and responsibility accompany it. This combination cultivates confidence, competence, and long-term success. Family-style affirmative action is not just about money, it's about values, mindset, and skills. Parents who teach discipline, planning, and resilience pass down wealth far more effectively than those who give money without expectation. The authors also explore the social responsibility of the family. By raising independent, financially capable children, families contribute positively to their communities. These children grow into adults who create jobs, invest wisely, and make thoughtful financial decisions that ripple outward. Stanley and Danko share examples of families where children, guided wisely, launched businesses, invested prudently, and built wealth that surpassed expectations. These successes often stemmed from lessons learned in the household about discipline, responsibility, and independence. In conclusion, this chapter emphasizes the critical role of family in shaping financial outcomes. Affirmative action, when guided by discipline and purpose, creates the next generation of self-made millionaires. When mismanaged, it fosters dependency and entitlement. The millionaire next door understands this principle deeply. They approach family support strategically, knowing that their legacy is not just wealth, but the wisdom, habits, and independence they instill in the next generation. By balancing love with discipline, guidance with expectation, and support with accountability, families can create environments that nurture financial intelligence, resilience, and long-term prosperity. Chapter 7. Find your niche. One of the most defining characteristics of the millionaire next door is their ability to find a niche, a specialized area where they can excel, create value, and build wealth. This chapter emphasizes that success is rarely the result of following the crowd. It comes from identifying a unique skill set or market opportunity and mastering it over time. The authors reveal that millionaires often avoid broad, generalized careers where competition is high and differentiation is low. Instead, they seek fields where their talents, persistence, and knowledge allow them to stand out. Specialization is their secret weapon, enabling them to provide value that others cannot easily replicate. Finding a niche requires self-awareness. Millionaires assess their strengths, interests, and skills carefully. They choose areas where they can be exceptional, rather than simply average. This decision is strategic. They know that mastery in a specific area is far more rewarding than mediocrity across many. The book shares examples of millionaires who built businesses or careers around their unique expertise. One might focus on a specialized form of accounting, another on a specific type of construction, and yet another on a niche retail market. Their success is tied not to luck, but to focused effort and persistent improvement. Stanley and Danko emphasize that timing and market awareness are also critical. A successful niche is one where demand exists and can be reliably monetized. Millionaires study markets carefully, observing gaps, inefficiencies, or underserved needs that they can address effectively. The chapter makes a key point. Wealth is often accumulated by those who do something that others overlook. Millionaires do not follow trends blindly. They anticipate needs, solve problems, and deliver solutions that are both valuable and sustainable. Their niche becomes their competitive advantage. Finding a niche also requires patience. Millionaires understand that establishing credibility and expertise takes time. They do not expect overnight success. Instead, they invest years in learning, practicing, and building reputation. The compound effect of consistent effort in a specialized area is immense. The book highlights that many self-made millionaires did not inherit wealth or receive large capital injections. Instead, they discovered an opportunity where they could excel and devoted themselves fully to it. Their focus, discipline, and expertise turned a small advantage into long-term financial security. Stanley and Danko discuss the difference between high-income professions and wealth accumulation. While earning a large salary can be helpful, it does not guarantee wealth. The key is how the millionaire leverages their niche, controls expenses, and reinvests profits. Income without financial discipline rarely produces lasting wealth. The authors also explore the role of entrepreneurship. Many millionaires create their own businesses within their niche, allowing them to maximize control, profits, and flexibility. By specializing, they reduce competition and increase value, making their efforts more rewarding than traditional employment alone. Another important insight is that passion and skill often intersect in a lucrative niche. Millionaires typically choose areas where they enjoy their work and can persist through challenges. Motivation, curiosity, and enjoyment increase persistence, which is essential for long-term success. The book provides examples of quiet millionaires who work diligently in specialized trades, professional services, or niche markets. They may not be famous, but their expertise allows them to generate significant wealth over time. Their lives are marked by discipline, focus, and incremental achievement. Stanley and Danko also note that finding a niche does not require reinventing the wheel. Many millionaires succeed by improving existing products or services, finding efficiencies, or delivering better customer service. Excellence within a focused area often produces more wealth than chasing novelty alone. The chapter emphasizes strategy. Millionaires carefully analyze potential niches, consider market demand, and evaluate their own abilities before committing. Rash decisions or jumping into a field without preparation often result in failure, while thoughtful focus creates opportunities for growth. Persistence is another hallmark of niche mastery. Millionaires are willing to work longer, learn more, and refine their skills when others would quit. They understand that expertise is earned, not given, and that long-term commitment multiplies the rewards of their niche. Stanley and Danko also highlight the importance of avoiding distractions. Millionaires resist trends that do not align with their niche and focus relentlessly on what they can control. This laser-focused approach differentiates them from peers who spread effort too thinly. Networking and mentorship within a niche are critical. Millionaires build relationships with others in their field, learning best practices, gaining insights, and identifying opportunities for collaboration. They know that connections amplify success and accelerate growth. The book also addresses risk management. Millionaires choose niches where they can control risk or mitigate exposure. They avoid ventures that are purely speculative or rely solely on luck, preferring opportunities where effort and skill directly influence outcomes. Financial prudence is intertwined with niche mastery. By earning within a controlled, specialized domain, millionaires can save, invest, and reinvest with confidence. Their income becomes a tool for building wealth, not merely spending power. Stanley and Danko conclude that finding a niche is less about luck and more about strategy, focus, and discipline. Millionaires excel because they understand their strengths, leverage opportunities, and commit to continuous improvement. The lesson is clear. Mastery, specialization, and focused effort produce wealth. Those who identify and dominate a niche achieve financial independence quietly and consistently, following the principles that define the millionaire next door. In essence, finding your niche is about aligning talent, effort, and opportunity. It requires introspection, planning, and persistence, but the rewards, a sustainable, growing, and independent wealth, are well worth the journey. Chapter 8. Jobs. Millionaire versus heir. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko examine a critical distinction: the difference between self-made millionaires and heirs. While both may have substantial wealth, the way they earn, manage, and value money differs profoundly. Understanding this distinction is essential for anyone who wishes to emulate the habits of the millionaire next door. Self-made millionaires typically start with modest means. They earn through work, entrepreneurship, and disciplined financial management. Heirs, on the other hand, may inherit wealth without developing the habits and discipline necessary to maintain or grow it. This difference has profound implications for long-term financial stability. The authors emphasize that income alone does not determine wealth. Millionaires focus on creating and controlling their own income streams. They leverage skills, experience, and effort to maximize earnings while minimizing unnecessary expenses. Heirs often have access to resources but may lack the mindset to preserve them. A key point in this chapter is that millionaires choose careers or businesses that allow them to save, invest, and grow wealth independently. They do not rely on inheritance, luck, or windfalls. This independence fosters discipline, self-reliance, and a deep understanding of financial management. Stanley and Danko highlight that many self-made millionaires work in professions that others might overlook. They might be small business owners, accountants, engineers, or tradespeople. What sets them apart is not glamour or prestige, but consistency, focus, and prudence. Heirs, in contrast, may feel pressure to maintain a lifestyle funded by wealth they did not earn. Without habits of saving, budgeting, and investing, their financial stability can be fragile. The book illustrates numerous cases where inherited wealth was depleted within a generation due to mismanagement and indulgence. The chapter also explores work ethic. Millionaires are disciplined in their approach to earning. They understand that sustained effort, long hours, and strategic planning are necessary to create and maintain wealth. This ethic is often absent among those who rely solely on inheritance. Another distinction is lifestyle management. Millionaires live below their means, reinvest profits, and prioritize long-term financial security. Heirs, lacking financial discipline, may inflate their lifestyle to match perceived social expectations, often leading to financial strain despite substantial inherited resources. Stanley and Danko also emphasize education and self-improvement. Millionaires invest in skills and knowledge that enhance their earning potential and decision-making capabilities. They continually refine their expertise, network strategically, and seek opportunities for growth. Heirs may not feel the same urgency to develop these capabilities, relying instead on inherited advantage. The authors note that self-made millionaires are often motivated by independence and achievement rather than status. Their goals are personal, long-term, and measurable. They measure success by wealth accumulation, financial security, and the ability to control their own lives. Heirs, by contrast, may measure success by social recognition or appearances rather than tangible financial metrics. A fascinating observation in the book is the resilience of self-made millionaires. They are accustomed to setbacks, challenges, and failure. These experiences teach problem-solving, risk management, and perseverance, skills that are rarely developed through inheritance alone. The chapter also highlights that wealth creation is a marathon, not a sprint. Self-made millionaires are patient, understanding that small, consistent actions compound over time. They avoid get-rich-quick schemes, focusing instead on steady, disciplined growth. In contrast, heirs may expect rapid wealth maintenance without the foundation of habit or skill. Without discipline, this expectation often leads to poor financial decisions, overconsumption, and ultimately loss of wealth. Stanley and Danko emphasize that the mindset of millionaires is fundamentally proactive. They anticipate challenges, plan for contingencies, and take deliberate action to control outcomes. Heirs may adopt a more reactive approach, relying on luck, family support, or external circumstances. The book also examines the role of family influence. Millionaires often grow up in environments that encourage self-reliance, responsibility, and frugality. They learn to value money and understand the consequences of financial decisions. Heirs, while potentially exposed to wealth, may lack these formative lessons. Another key insight is the distinction between earned income and inherited wealth. Earned income builds confidence, skill, and independence. It creates a mindset of ownership and accountability. Inherited wealth, while advantageous, does not automatically instill these qualities. The authors provide examples of self-made millionaires who started with very little, yet achieved significant wealth through disciplined careers, entrepreneurship, and frugal living. Their stories contrast sharply with heirs who squandered inheritance due to a lack of financial literacy and discipline. Stanley and Danko also explore how self-made millionaires manage risk. They take calculated risks based on knowledge, research, and experience. Heirs, without such a foundation, may take impulsive risks or avoid investment altogether, limiting long-term wealth growth. A critical takeaway is that self-made millionaires are intentional. Every decision, career choice, spending, saving, investing, is made with purpose. Heirs, in contrast, may lack intentionality, treating wealth as a given rather than a result of careful planning. The chapter emphasizes that financial independence is built through action, not inheritance. Millionaires create structures, habits, and strategies that ensure wealth continues to grow, while heirs must cultivate these skills if they wish to preserve what they receive. Stanley and Danko conclude that the lesson is clear. Becoming a millionaire next door requires effort, discipline, and intentional action. Inheritance may provide opportunity, but it does not guarantee wealth. True financial security comes from creating, managing, and growing your own resources. The key distinction is mindset. Millionaires focus on control, discipline, and long-term outcomes. Heirs may rely on circumstance, external support, or appearances. The book encourages readers to emulate the mindset of self-made millionaires, regardless of starting point, to achieve lasting wealth. In essence, this chapter teaches that wealth built through effort is sustainable, empowering, and resilient. It's a mindset, a habit, and a practice. The millionaire next door earns, saves, invests, and grows, turning small actions into a lifetime of financial independence. Chapter 9. Find the right partner. One of the most powerful determinants of financial success is the choice of a life partner. Stanley and Danko emphasize that the people we choose to share our lives with can either amplify our wealth-building efforts or undermine them. In the journey to becoming a millionaire next door, compatibility, shared values, and financial alignment are crucial. The authors reveal that millionaires are intentional when it comes to choosing partners. They seek individuals who share similar financial habits, priorities, and long-term goals. This alignment ensures that both partners work together toward common objectives, rather than pulling in opposite directions. Financial discipline is a non-negotiable trait. Millionaires tend to avoid relationships with partners who are spendthrift, impulsive, or unconcerned with budgeting. A mismatch in financial habits can create tension, debt, and missed opportunities for wealth accumulation. The book highlights that communication is essential. Millionaires openly discuss money with their partners' earnings, spending, savings, investments, and financial goals. Transparency prevents misunderstandings and ensures both partners are aligned on priorities and expectations. Stanley and Danko also stress the importance of shared values. Beyond money, millionaires look for partners who value independence, self-discipline, and long-term planning. Shared ethics, work habits, and life philosophies create a partnership that supports growth rather than conflict. The chapter emphasizes the role of mutual encouragement. Millionaires choose partners who motivate them to achieve more, challenge them to improve, and celebrate disciplined choices. The right partner acts as a catalyst for success, not a source of distraction or indulgence. The book illustrates that financial compatibility goes beyond income. Even if one partner earns more, what matters is shared goals, similar spending philosophies, and mutual respect for financial decisions. Discrepancies in these areas can lead to tension and compromise wealth-building efforts. Stanley and Danko explore the concept of joint decision-making. Millionaires approach major financial decisions, home purchases, business investments, retirement planning with consensus and deliberation. This cooperative mindset reduces risk and increases the likelihood of successful outcomes. Another key insight is that the right partner fosters accountability. Millionaires often credit their success to spouses who encouraged saving, discouraged unnecessary spending, and helped maintain discipline over decades. A supportive partner strengthens resilience and commitment. The chapter warns against partners who encourage lifestyle inflation. A spouse who prioritizes appearances, social status, or luxury consumption can sabotage wealth-building efforts. Millionaires avoid such pitfalls by choosing partners aligned with practicality and long-term vision. Stanley and Danko also emphasize adaptability. Successful couples adapt to changes in income, career shifts, and market conditions while maintaining discipline. Flexibility, combined with shared goals, ensures that wealth-building strategies remain effective under various circumstances. The book includes examples of couples who built wealth together from modest beginnings. These partnerships were characterized by communication, shared vision, mutual support, and disciplined financial habits. Their stories illustrate how teamwork multiplies the effects of individual effort. A critical lesson in this chapter is that love and money are intertwined in the journey to financial independence. While emotions drive personal decisions, rational evaluation of compatibility and shared priorities ensures that relationships strengthen rather than weaken financial outcomes. Stanley and Danko also note that finding the right partner is an ongoing process. As life evolves, shared goals may shift, income levels may change, and responsibilities may increase. Successful couples maintain dialogue, adjust strategies, and reinforce shared values to stay aligned. The chapter emphasizes the importance of teaching children financial habits within a partnership. Couples who model discipline, budgeting, and investment strategies provide a strong foundation for the next generation of millionaires next door. Family wealth grows not only through earnings but through consistent teaching and example. The authors explore the psychological aspects of partnership. Emotional support, trust, and shared purpose reduce stress, improve decision-making, and encourage long-term planning. Millionaires understand that a strong emotional foundation enhances financial performance. Another insight is that the right partner can help avoid common pitfalls such as debt accumulation, impulsive spending, and lifestyle inflation. By holding each other accountable, couples create a protective environment where wealth can grow steadily. Stanley and Danko illustrate that marriage or long-term partnerships are more than personal relationships. They are strategic alliances. Successful millionaires approach partnerships with the same intentionality they apply to careers, businesses, and investments. The chapter also highlights conflict resolution. Couples who resolve disagreements constructively, without letting emotions dictate financial decisions, maintain stability. Millionaires prioritize rational discussion and shared goals over ego or short-term satisfaction. The authors stress that timing matters as well. Choosing a partner early in life can influence habits, financial behavior, and long-term outcomes. Conversely, aligning with the wrong partner can create decades of financial stress and setbacks. Finally, the chapter concludes with a powerful lesson. Wealth building is not a solo journey. The right partner multiplies effort, reinforces discipline, and ensures that decisions made today contribute to long-term financial independence. Together, disciplined couples become the quiet, enduring millionaires next door. The ultimate takeaway is clear. Choosing the right partner is a deliberate, intentional process. It is as important as career choice, investment strategy, or money management. Shared vision, compatible habits, and mutual accountability turn disciplined individuals into a formidable, wealth-building team. Chapter 10. Economic Outpatient Care Revisited/Financial Independence. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko revisit the concept of economic outpatient care and tie it directly to the ultimate goal of wealth, true financial independence. The authors emphasize that independence is not simply about having money. It's about having freedom, control, and security in all areas of life. Financial independence requires discipline, focus, and consistent action. It is the ability to make choices without being constrained by debt, social pressures, or reliance on others. Millionaires next door cultivate independence by living below their means, investing wisely, and avoiding unnecessary financial obligations. The authors remind us that economic outpatient care, whether received or given, can hinder independence. Adult children who rely excessively on parental support often delay critical financial growth. Conversely, those who are expected to manage their own resources develop essential skills for wealth creation. Stanley and Danko emphasize that true independence is both practical and psychological. It is the confidence that comes from knowing you can handle challenges, fund opportunities, and make decisions without depending on others. This mindset separates millionaires from high-income individuals who may appear wealthy but are financially insecure. The chapter explores practical strategies for achieving financial independence. The first step is controlling expenses. Millionaires track spending meticulously, prioritize essential needs, and avoid lifestyle inflation. Every peso saved is a step toward autonomy and long-term security. Investing wisely is another cornerstone. Millionaires allocate resources to assets that generate income or appreciate over time. They understand the power of compounding and make deliberate choices to maximize long-term growth, rather than chasing short-term gratification. The authors also highlight the importance of self-reliance in income generation. Millionaires seek careers, businesses, or ventures where they control outcomes, risk, and returns. They do not rely on inheritance, windfalls, or unpredictable support, ensuring that their wealth is built on a solid foundation. Stanley and Danko revisit family dynamics, emphasizing that financial independence is strengthened when children are encouraged to manage their own resources. Parental guidance can teach budgeting, investing, and accountability, but oversupport erodes the ability to stand on one's own. The chapter also addresses the role of mindset. Millionaires cultivate patience, persistence, and long-term thinking. They understand that independence is a journey, not a destination. Every decision, spending, saving, investing, is evaluated for its impact on future freedom. Another key insight is the relationship between independence and resilience. Financially independent individuals are better equipped to handle emergencies, career changes, and unexpected challenges. This security allows them to take calculated risks without jeopardizing stability. Stanley and Danko emphasize that independence requires intentionality. It is not accidental. Millionaires actively plan, monitor progress, and adjust strategies to maintain control over their finances. They measure success by autonomy, not appearance. The chapter also explores how independence impacts personal relationships. Financial self-sufficiency reduces dependence on partners, family, or others for security. It fosters equality, mutual respect, and shared decision-making rather than resentment or imbalance. The authors provide examples of individuals who achieved independence through careful planning, disciplined saving, and strategic investing. These stories illustrate that wealth is built gradually, through consistent choices, rather than inherited or obtained through luck. Stanley and Danko revisit the dangers of debt. Financial independence is compromised when liabilities outweigh assets or when obligations restrict freedom. Millionaires Next Door manage debt strategically, often avoiding consumer debt altogether. The chapter also discusses the power of goal setting. Independent individuals set clear, measurable objectives for savings, investments, and wealth accumulation. They track progress regularly, making adjustments to stay on course and ensure long-term security. Another insight is the importance of living below your means. Financial independence is reinforced when spending is controlled and lifestyle inflation is resisted. Millionaires understand that appearances are temporary, but independence and security are lasting. The book highlights that independence is cumulative. Every disciplined decision compounds over time. Small savings, careful investments, and prudent choices accumulate into significant wealth. This compounding effect is the foundation of lasting freedom. Stanley and Danko also emphasize flexibility. Independent individuals adapt to changing circumstances, diversify income streams, and maintain control over their financial destiny. They avoid reliance on a single source of income or external support. The chapter illustrates that achieving independence requires both knowledge and action. Millionaires study financial principles, learn investment strategies, and apply lessons consistently. Knowledge without execution does not produce freedom. A critical point is that independence fosters opportunity. Financially self-sufficient individuals can pursue ventures, education, or passions without constraint. They are not limited by debt, dependency, or societal pressures. Stanley and Danko stress that independence is not only about wealth but about empowerment. It provides the ability to make choices aligned with values, priorities, and long-term goals. This autonomy is a hallmark of the Millionaire Next Door. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder. Independence is the ultimate measure of success. It is the result of disciplined decisions, self-reliance, and intentional living. Economic outpatient care must be managed carefully, and reliance on others minimized, to ensure lasting freedom. In essence, this chapter teaches that financial independence is both the path and the destination. By controlling expenses, investing wisely, cultivating self-reliance, and making intentional choices, the millionaire next door achieves not only wealth but the freedom to live life on their own terms. Chapter 11. Choose the right occupation. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko explore the profound impact that career choice has on building wealth. Selecting the right occupation is more than following a passion or earning a high salary. It's about finding a field where your skills, discipline, and opportunities converge to create lasting financial independence. The authors reveal that millionaires next door often work in occupations that allow them to control outcomes, save aggressively, and invest wisely. These are not always glamorous professions, but they are practical, sustainable, and conducive to disciplined wealth building. A key insight is that income alone does not guarantee wealth. High salaries can be misleading if expenses rise to match them. Millionaires carefully select occupations that allow them to live below their means while generating surplus for savings and investments. Stanley and Danko emphasize the importance of skill alignment. Individuals should pursue work where they can excel, leverage their strengths, and consistently produce value. Mastery and competence in a chosen field increase earning potential and open doors for advancement. The book highlights the role of entrepreneurship. Many millionaires create their own businesses within their occupational field, providing control over income, decision-making, and growth. Owning a business allows for discipline in spending and a direct link between effort and reward. Choosing the right occupation also involves market awareness. Millionaires assess demand, trends, and growth potential in their field before committing. By selecting areas with sustainable opportunities, they avoid the pitfalls of oversaturated markets or declining industries. Stanley and Danko discuss the relationship between independence and occupation. Jobs that offer autonomy, flexibility, and opportunities for decision-making are preferred. Millionaires thrive in environments where they can influence outcomes rather than being passive participants. The authors also examine the role of stability. While risk-taking can accelerate wealth accumulation, millionaires balance this with jobs or businesses that provide steady income and reliability. They diversify sources of revenue to reduce vulnerability and ensure consistent financial growth. Another critical point is lifestyle compatibility. Millionaires select occupations that align with their personal values, goals, and work ethic. This alignment reduces stress, improves productivity, and fosters the discipline necessary to maintain a frugal, wealth-building lifestyle. The chapter highlights examples of quiet millionaires who chose occupations others might overlook. They excelled as accountants, engineers, specialized tradespeople, or small business owners. Their focus on skill mastery and disciplined financial management allowed them to accumulate wealth quietly and consistently. Stanley and Danko emphasize the importance of long-term thinking. Choosing an occupation is not just about immediate income but about the cumulative effect over years or decades. Consistency, persistence, and strategic decision-making compound into significant wealth. The book also discusses the concept of control. Millionaires prefer occupations where they can influence income, manage risks, and apply their skills effectively. This control reduces reliance on luck, inheritance, or external circumstances, and ensures that effort translates directly into results. Another insight is that occupational choice should support saving and investment. Jobs with high expenses, social pressure, or lifestyle inflation potential are avoided, even if the salary is attractive. Millionaires prioritize net wealth creation over gross income. Stanley and Danko highlight the role of mentorship. Choosing the right occupation often involves learning from experienced professionals, observing best practices, and building networks that enhance skills and opportunities. This guidance accelerates growth and reduces mistakes. The authors also stress adaptability. Occupations may change over time due to market shifts or personal development. Millionaires continuously evaluate opportunities, acquire new skills, and adjust their career paths to maximize potential and maintain financial momentum. The chapter discusses risk versus reward. Millionaires assess the potential payoff of an occupation against personal aptitude, market stability, and growth opportunities. They avoid high-risk, low-control situations that jeopardize independence or financial security. Stanley and Danko note that passion alone is insufficient. While enjoying work is valuable, it must be paired with skill, market demand, and the ability to generate surplus income. Passion without discipline rarely produces lasting wealth. The authors emphasize that self-made millionaires are strategic in career moves. Promotions, business expansions, or new ventures are calculated, not impulsive. Each decision is evaluated for its long-term impact on wealth accumulation and independence. The chapter highlights the importance of learning and continuous improvement. Millionaires invest in education, certifications, or skill development relevant to their occupation. This investment enhances expertise, increases value, and creates opportunities for advancement. Another key point is patience. Wealth accumulation through occupation is a marathon, not a sprint. Millionaires understand that consistent effort, prudent decision-making, and disciplined saving over years are the true drivers of financial independence. Stanley and Danko also explore the psychological aspects. Choosing the right occupation instills confidence, reduces stress, and fosters a mindset of control and accountability, qualities essential for long-term financial success. The book provides examples of individuals who strategically selected their occupations, avoided unnecessary expenses, and invested wisely. Over decades, these decisions compounded into substantial wealth, illustrating the power of intentional career choices. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder. The right occupation is a foundation for independence, security, and wealth. By aligning skills, market opportunities, and discipline, individuals can transform their work into a sustainable path to financial freedom. In essence, this chapter teaches that career choice is not just about income. It's about control, alignment, and the ability to leverage effort into lasting wealth. The Millionaire Next Door selects wisely, plans strategically, and consistently maximizes the potential of their occupation. Chapter 12. The Gifted versus the Self-Made. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko examine the crucial difference between those born into wealth and those who build it themselves. While both may enjoy financial security, the paths, habits, and mindsets that lead to lasting wealth are fundamentally different. Understanding these distinctions is vital for anyone seeking to emulate the millionaire next door. The authors reveal that self-made millionaires share common traits: discipline, frugality, focus, and a long-term mindset. They earn, save, and invest deliberately, often starting with modest means. Their wealth is a direct reflection of consistent effort and smart decision-making. In contrast, the gifted or heirs receive wealth by birthright. While they may have access to resources, they often lack the habits and mindset required to maintain or grow that wealth. Without intentional learning and discipline, inherited wealth can diminish within a generation. Stanley and Danko emphasize that income does not automatically produce wealth. Self-made millionaires may earn moderate salaries, but they live below their means, reinvest wisely, and take calculated risks. Heirs, even with substantial assets, may overspend, indulge in lifestyle inflation, and fail to cultivate financial literacy. The chapter explores the concept of independence. Self-made millionaires rely on their own skills, effort, and decisions to generate income and build assets. This self-reliance creates confidence, resilience, and control, qualities that are often missing in those who inherit wealth without responsibility. Another key insight is that self-made millionaires are intentional with every financial decision. They track spending, prioritize savings, and invest strategically. Their actions are guided by long-term goals, not immediate gratification or social pressure. Stanley and Danko illustrate this with examples of quiet millionaires who achieve success through disciplined careers, entrepreneurship, and prudent investing. These individuals may not be famous, but their habits allow them to accumulate wealth steadily and sustainably. The authors also discuss the role of risk management. Self-made millionaires take calculated risks based on knowledge, research, and skill. Heirs, lacking experience or discipline, may take impulsive risks or avoid prudent investment, undermining long-term security. Financial habits are central to the discussion. Self-made millionaires consistently practice frugality, budgeting, and strategic reinvestment. They avoid debt traps, unnecessary luxuries, and the allure of status symbols. Heirs may lack these habits, leading to vulnerability despite inherited assets. Stanley and Danko explore the importance of mindset. Self-made millionaires view challenges as opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. They embrace setbacks as part of the journey, developing resilience and problem-solving skills that multiply wealth over time. Heirs, while advantaged by resources, may not cultivate the same resilience. Without experience overcoming obstacles, they can struggle to manage adversity, make sound financial decisions, or sustain wealth independently. The chapter also highlights the psychological difference. Self-made millionaires derive satisfaction from achievement, discipline, and independence. Their success is measurable and earned, fostering confidence and purpose. Heirs may rely on wealth for validation or status, which can create pressure and dependency. Stanley and Danko emphasize the role of education. Self-made millionaires invest in financial literacy, career skills, and personal development. They understand that knowledge compounds alongside wealth, ensuring sustainable growth. Heirs must consciously acquire these skills to preserve and grow what they receive. Another critical point is lifestyle management. Self-made millionaires are deliberate about spending, avoiding the temptation to match the appearance of wealth. Their focus is on long-term security, not immediate consumption. Heirs may fall into patterns of excessive spending or social comparison, risking financial erosion. The book also explores the intergenerational impact. Self-made millionaires who instill discipline, financial literacy, and independence in their children create a legacy of wealth that extends beyond money. In contrast, heirs without these lessons may struggle to preserve wealth for future generations. Stanley and Danko provide examples of families where inherited wealth was lost within 1 or 2 generations due to poor financial habits. They contrast these stories with self-made families who, through discipline and strategic decision-making, built lasting financial legacies. The chapter emphasizes that effort, discipline, and intentionality are more valuable than initial advantage. Self-made millionaires demonstrate that wealth is not about where you start. It's about the habits, decisions, and mindset you cultivate along the way. Stanley and Danko stress that self-made wealth fosters independence, control, and confidence. It allows individuals to make choices aligned with values and long-term goals, rather than being constrained by circumstance or reliance on others. The chapter concludes with a powerful lesson. Being self-made is not just about money. It's about mindset, discipline, and resilience. Inherited wealth can be fleeting without these qualities, while self-made wealth, built intentionally, is enduring. In essence, this chapter teaches that the millionaire next door achieves financial security through effort, strategy, and discipline. The gifted may start ahead, but without habit, knowledge, and purpose, their advantage may fade. True wealth is earned, practiced, and sustained. Chapter 13. You aren't what you drive. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko tackle one of the most eye-opening truths about wealth. Appearances can be deceiving. Millionaires next door rarely flaunt their money through extravagant cars, lavish homes, or flashy possessions. Instead, they focus on financial prudence, disciplined saving, and long-term security. The authors emphasize that the car you drive, or the possessions you display, does not define your net worth. Many individuals who appear wealthy are, in reality, living beyond their means. They may have high salaries but little savings or investment. Millionaires next door, in contrast, prioritize substance over appearance. Stanley and Danko highlight that frugality is a hallmark of self-made wealth. Millionaires consistently choose practical, cost-effective options that allow them to save and invest. They understand that every peso saved contributes more to long-term wealth than a status symbol ever could. The book provides examples of millionaires who drive modest vehicles, live in unpretentious homes, and avoid unnecessary luxury. These choices are intentional, They maximize financial freedom and reduce the temptation to overspend. Another key insight is the danger of lifestyle inflation. High earners who match their spending to their income may appear affluent, but they often have limited net worth. Millionaires resist this trap by aligning spending with goals, not ego. Stanley and Danko explain that true wealth is measured by net worth, not income or possessions. Millionaires track assets, investments, and savings meticulously. They understand that appearances are fleeting, but financial independence is lasting. The chapter also explores the psychological aspect of spending. Millionaires cultivate contentment and patience. They derive satisfaction from financial security, growth, and independence rather than public recognition or social comparison. The authors stress that intentional decision-making is crucial. Choosing a modest car, maintaining it well, and avoiding debt on depreciating assets allows millionaires to redirect resources into wealth-building investments. Small, consistent choices compound over time. Stanley and Danko highlight that avoiding conspicuous consumption reduces financial stress. Millionaires do not compete in a social hierarchy of appearances. Instead, they focus on their own goals, aligning every financial decision with long-term objectives. The book illustrates that many status-driven individuals underestimate the impact of daily expenses. High mortgage payments, luxury leases, and premium services can erode wealth over decades. Millionaires carefully weigh these costs against potential returns from saving or investing. Another critical point is that frugality does not mean deprivation. Millionaires enjoy life, but they prioritize experiences and investments that add genuine value. They understand the difference between temporary gratification and lasting financial security. Stanley and Danko emphasize planning. Before making purchases, millionaires consider opportunity cost. Could this money be invested, saved, or used to generate more wealth? This mindset turns every financial decision into a strategic choice. The chapter also addresses social perception. Millionaires often defy stereotypes. They may not drive luxury vehicles or live in mansions, yet their net worth exceeds that of high-profile spenders. Discipline, rather than display, defines their financial reality. The authors note that children of millionaires often inherit these frugal habits. They grow up understanding value, delayed gratification, and the importance of financial independence, rather than equating wealth with appearances. Stanley and Danko illustrate the dangers of debt-fueled lifestyles. Credit cards, car loans, and consumer financing may allow temporary appearances of wealth, but they often lead to long-term financial instability. Millionaires avoid such traps. The book also emphasizes self-awareness. Millionaires understand their goals, values, and priorities. They make conscious decisions to live below their means, rather than succumbing to social pressure or the illusion of status. The chapter highlights the compounding effect of disciplined choices. Modest spending, careful investment, and avoidance of lifestyle inflation create substantial wealth over decades. Small sacrifices today yield independence and security tomorrow. Stanley and Danko also explore humility as a characteristic of the millionaire next door. They are unpretentious, avoiding attention-seeking behaviors that often accompany status symbols. Their focus is on results, not recognition. Another key insight is that financial freedom allows flexibility and opportunity. By not overspending on depreciating assets, millionaires can seize investment opportunities, weather financial challenges, and maintain control over their lives. The authors stress that measuring wealth by possessions is misleading. True financial success is about net worth, independence, and the ability to make intentional choices. Cars, homes, and luxuries are tools, not indicators of achievement. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder. Wealth is built, preserved, and grown through discipline, frugality, and intentional living. Millionaires next door may appear ordinary, but their choices compound into extraordinary financial outcomes. In essence, this chapter teaches that you are not what you drive. Appearances are irrelevant. Disciplined habits, savings, investments, and prudent decisions define true wealth. The millionaire next door lives modestly, plans intentionally, and lets results, not displays, speak for themselves. Headphone Chapter 14. Financial Planning. Step by Step. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko guide readers through the structured approach to financial planning, emphasizing that building wealth is not a matter of luck, but of deliberate, disciplined action. Financial independence is achieved through careful steps, each designed to maximize savings, investments, and control over one's future. The authors begin by highlighting the importance of self-assessment. Before creating a plan, individuals must understand their current financial situation. Income, expenses, assets, liabilities, and financial habits. Awareness is the foundation of control and growth. The first step is budgeting. Millionaires meticulously track income and expenses, identifying areas where savings can be increased without sacrificing essential needs. Every peso has a purpose, and unnecessary spending is minimized. Stanley and Danko stress the importance of setting clear goals. Financial objectives, such as debt elimination, investment targets, or retirement planning, should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Goals transform abstract desires into actionable steps. The next step is creating an emergency fund. Millionaires understand that financial setbacks, job loss, medical emergencies, or unexpected expenses are inevitable. A well-funded emergency reserve ensures stability without derailing long-term wealth-building efforts. The authors then focus on debt management. Responsible handling of debt is essential for financial freedom. Millionaires prioritize paying off high-interest debt quickly while using low-interest debt strategically to leverage opportunities, rather than as a means to fund consumption. Investment planning is another crucial element. Stanley and Danko explain that wealth grows not just from income, but from the disciplined deployment of capital. Millionaires invest in assets that appreciate, generate income, or provide tax advantages, always aligned with long-term goals. The chapter emphasizes diversification. Millionaires avoid putting all resources into a single asset or venture. They spread investments across stocks, bonds, real estate, businesses, and retirement accounts to minimize risk and ensure stable growth over time. Stanley and Danko highlight the importance of monitoring and adjusting plans. Financial planning is dynamic. Income, expenses, markets, and life circumstances change, requiring periodic review and recalibration to stay on track toward objectives. Another key insight is the principle of living below one's means. Wealth grows when spending is consistently less than income, allowing surplus funds to be directed toward savings and investments. Frugality is a disciplined habit, not a temporary measure. The authors also stress the value of long-term thinking. Millionaires focus on decisions that compound over years or decades. Short-term pleasures are often deferred in favor of long-term financial independence. Patience is a central virtue. Tax planning is discussed as an essential step. Millionaires strategically manage taxable income and leverage legal avenues for reduction. Proper planning ensures more resources remain available for investment and growth, rather than being lost unnecessarily to taxes. Stanley and Danko explore the role of insurance. Protecting assets and income from risk is fundamental. Health, life, and property insurance guard against catastrophic financial loss, enabling disciplined plans to continue uninterrupted. The chapter also emphasizes education and financial literacy. Millionaires continually expand knowledge about markets, investing, tax strategies, and financial tools. This understanding allows them to make informed, confident decisions rather than relying on guesswork or luck. Another insight is the importance of automation. Millionaires often automate savings, investments, and bill payments. Automation removes emotional impulses, ensures consistency, and reinforces the habit of disciplined financial management. Stanley and Danko highlight goal alignment with lifestyle. Financial planning is not about deprivation. It's about intentionality. Every decision, spending, investing, or saving, serves a purpose aligned with long-term objectives. The chapter discusses accountability. Successful millionaires often track progress, review results regularly, and adjust strategies as necessary. Tracking reinforces discipline and provides clarity on whether actions are moving toward goals. Risk assessment is another vital step. Millionaires evaluate the potential upside and downside of every investment, purchase, or career move. Decisions are calculated, not impulsive, ensuring that choices enhance long-term wealth rather than jeopardize it. Stanley and Danko emphasize the importance of flexibility. Plans must accommodate life's uncertainties, job changes, health issues, or market fluctuations. A resilient plan balances discipline with adaptability. The authors also stress that financial planning is a lifelong journey. It is not a one-time task but a continuous process of setting goals, monitoring progress, adjusting strategies, and cultivating disciplined habits. Wealth grows through persistence and consistent effort. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder. Financial planning is the roadmap to independence. Discipline, strategy, and intentional action transform income into wealth, creating freedom, security, and the ability to live life on one's own terms. In essence, this chapter teaches that the millionaire next door achieves lasting wealth through structured, step-by-step planning. Awareness, goal-setting, disciplined saving, prudent investment, and continuous monitoring compound into a lifetime of financial independence. Headphone Chapter 15. Pay Yourself First. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko introduce one of the most fundamental principles of wealth building: paying yourself first. This concept emphasizes that the key to financial independence is not how much you earn, but how consistently you save and invest before spending on anything else. The authors explain that millionaires next door prioritize savings automatically, treating it as a non-negotiable expense. They do not wait until the end of the month to see what is left. Instead, they set aside a predetermined portion of income immediately upon receipt. Paying yourself first instills discipline. By removing temptation and automating savings, individuals avoid the common pitfall of spending everything they earn. This habit ensures consistent accumulation of capital over time, forming the foundation of wealth. Stanley and Danko highlight the importance of automation. Millionaires often use automatic transfers to savings or investment accounts. This removes human error, emotional spending, and procrastination, allowing wealth to grow steadily without constant active effort. The book emphasizes the psychological benefit. Paying yourself first builds a sense of control, security, and confidence. It reinforces the mindset that financial independence is a priority, not an afterthought. Each contribution, no matter how small, strengthens the pathway to freedom. Another key insight is the impact of compounding. By saving and investing early and consistently, the accumulated wealth grows exponentially. Millionaires harness this principle to convert modest savings into substantial net worth over decades. Stanley and Danko also explore the concept of proportionality. Paying yourself first is not about a fixed amount, but a percentage of income. Even small percentages, when practiced consistently, generate meaningful wealth over time. The chapter discusses practical strategies. Millionaires allocate funds to various accounts: emergency funds, retirement accounts, education savings, and investment portfolios. Diversification ensures that money is working in multiple areas to maximize long-term growth. The authors emphasize resisting lifestyle inflation. As income rises, many individuals increase spending on non-essential items. Millionaires consciously increase their savings rate instead, maintaining frugality while enjoying incremental luxuries without jeopardizing financial goals. Stanley and Danko illustrate examples of disciplined individuals who start small. Even setting aside 5 to 10% of income consistently leads to significant wealth over time. The principle is that action, consistency, and discipline matter more than income level. Another insight is prioritization. Paying yourself first ensures that essential financial objectives, retirement, investments, debt reduction, are addressed before discretionary spending. This disciplined sequence prevents mismanagement and promotes financial stability. The chapter also explores accountability. Millionaires track their contributions, monitor growth, and adjust percentages as needed. Visibility and active engagement reinforce commitment and highlight the tangible results of disciplined saving. Stanley and Danko highlight the role of mindset. Viewing savings as non-negotiable shifts perception from sacrificing to investing in freedom. Paying yourself first becomes a reward rather than a burden, cultivating long-term motivation. The authors also discuss the multiplier effect of paying yourself first. As investments grow, they generate income, dividends, or interest which is reinvested. This snowball effect accelerates wealth accumulation, reducing dependence on active labor alone. The chapter addresses common barriers. Many people delay saving, believing they must earn more first. Millionaires prove that consistent action with available resources, no matter how modest, outperforms procrastination or waiting for perfect conditions. Stanley and Danko emphasize goal alignment. Savings and investments are tied to specific objectives: retirement, education, real estate, or business ventures. This ensures that each contribution is purposeful, strategic, and meaningful. Another key point is flexibility. While the principle of paying yourself first is steadfast, allocation can adapt to changing circumstances, emergencies, income fluctuations, or new opportunities without abandoning the core habit. The chapter illustrates generational impact. Millionaires teach children to pay themselves first, instilling discipline and independence early. This habit forms the foundation for a lifetime of financial responsibility and wealth building. Stanley and Danko explore the long-term vision. Paying yourself first is not a short-term tactic but a lifestyle. It reinforces delayed gratification, prioritizes independence, and ensures that financial security compounds steadily over decades. The authors also stress that wealth is cumulative. Each small contribution adds to the next, creating momentum. Consistent, disciplined action outweighs occasional windfalls or sporadic large investments. The principle is action over timing. The chapter concludes with a powerful reminder. Paying yourself first is the simplest, most effective strategy to achieve financial independence. By prioritizing savings, automating contributions, and resisting lifestyle inflation, individuals secure freedom, stability, and control over their future. In essence, this chapter teaches that the millionaire next door builds wealth not by accident, but through disciplined, consistent action. Paying yourself first turns income into security, investment, and freedom, creating a life defined by choice rather than circumstance. Headphone Chapter 16. The Millionaire Next Door's 7 Steps to Wealth. In this chapter, Stanley and Danko consolidate decades of research into a clear roadmap. The 7 steps that define the habits and strategies of the millionaire next door. These steps are actionable, practical, and designed to transform income into lasting wealth. The first step is live below your means. Millionaires consistently spend less than they earn, no matter their income level. This habit allows them to save, invest, and build financial security while avoiding the pitfalls of lifestyle inflation. Step 2 is allocate your time, energy, and money efficiently. Millionaires focus on activities that maximize financial returns. They invest in opportunities that grow wealth while avoiding distractions that drain resources or create unnecessary expenses. Step 3 is financial planning and budgeting. Careful planning transforms income into assets. Millionaires track spending, prioritize investments, and make deliberate choices to ensure that every peso works toward long-term goals. This disciplined approach is the backbone of financial success. Step 4 is avoid debt and manage liabilities. High-interest consumer debt is the enemy of wealth. Millionaires strategically use debt, if at all, to leverage opportunities rather than fund consumption. They understand that freedom from debt is essential for control and growth. Step 5 is maximize investment returns. Millionaires consistently allocate resources to assets that appreciate, generate income, or provide tax advantages. They understand risk, diversify portfolios, and prioritize long-term compounding over short-term gains. Step 6 is focus on financial independence over status. Millionaires avoid conspicuous consumption and social pressure to appear wealthy. They measure success by net worth and autonomy, not by possessions, luxury cars, or outward displays of income. The 7th and final step is continuous learning and self-improvement. Millionaires invest in knowledge, skills, and financial literacy. They remain adaptable, informed, and capable of making decisions that enhance long-term wealth and stability. Stanley and Danko illustrate each step with examples from real-life millionaires next door. These individuals may not be famous or flashy, but their consistent application of these principles has produced extraordinary financial results over decades. The authors emphasize that these 7 steps are interconnected. Living below your means supports budgeting. Budgeting enables investment. Investment leads to independence. Independence allows freedom of choice. Each step reinforces the others, creating a self-sustaining cycle of wealth accumulation. The book also highlights the psychological benefits. Following these steps fosters confidence, reduces stress, and empowers individuals to make intentional decisions. Millionaires feel in control of their financial destiny rather than at the mercy of circumstance. Stanley and Danko stress that these steps are actionable at any income level. Even modest earners can follow the 7 steps to achieve financial independence. It is the combination of discipline, strategy, and persistence, not the size of income, that determines success. Another key insight is the importance of consistency. Millionaires apply these steps daily, monthly, and yearly. Over time, small, disciplined choices compound into substantial wealth, demonstrating that patience and perseverance outweigh occasional large windfalls. The chapter explores the role of family and relationships. Applying the 7 steps with a partner or within a household multiplies effectiveness. Shared goals, mutual accountability, and alignment in financial habits accelerate wealth building. The authors also note the significance of early adoption. The sooner these steps are implemented, the greater the cumulative effect. Starting early allows compounding to work more effectively, turning modest savings into significant long-term wealth. Stanley and Danko highlight that these steps are not theoretical, they are practical habits observed consistently among self-made millionaires. The research shows that following these steps distinguishes true wealth creators from high-income spenders or inherited wealth recipients. Step 1. Living below your means involves evaluating expenses, reducing unnecessary consumption, and focusing on essential needs. This requires mindfulness, discipline, and long-term thinking. Step 2. Allocating time and energy efficiently emphasizes opportunity cost. Millionaires prioritize high-value activities, delegate low-value tasks, and focus on financial growth rather than immediate gratification. Step 3. Budgeting transforms abstract goals into tangible action. Monitoring income, expenses, and investments creates clarity and ensures that every decision aligns with long-term objectives. Step 4. Avoiding debt strengthens independence. By minimizing liabilities, millionaires preserve capital, reduce stress, and maintain flexibility to pursue opportunities. Step 5. Maximizing investment returns involves informed decision-making. Millionaires study markets, understand risk-reward dynamics, and allocate resources where they generate consistent growth. Step 6. Focusing on independence over status reinforces frugality and discipline. Wealth is built quietly, without succumbing to social pressures or displays of superficial success. Step 7. Continuous learning ensures adaptability. Knowledge compounds alongside wealth, enabling individuals to navigate changing markets, career shifts, and life events with confidence. The chapter emphasizes that the cumulative effect of these steps is greater than any single action. Each step strengthens the others, creating a framework for lasting wealth, security, and freedom. Stanley and Danko conclude with a reminder: becoming a millionaire next door is less about luck and more about intention. By following these 7 steps diligently, anyone can build financial independence, resilience, and lasting wealth. In essence, this chapter teaches that wealth is the result of habit, discipline, and strategy. The 7 steps serve as a blueprint, guiding individuals from income to independence, ensuring that each decision contributes to a secure and prosperous future. Headphone Chapter 17. Conclusion and Key Takeaways. In this final chapter, Stanley and Danko summarize the essence of the millionaire next door and reinforce the principles that set them apart from high-income spenders and the gifted. It's a powerful conclusion that ties together decades of research, observation, and real-life examples. The authors begin by reminding readers that wealth is rarely the result of sudden windfalls, luck, or inheritance. True financial independence comes from intentional habits, disciplined planning, and consistent execution over time. One of the most striking takeaways is the emphasis on frugality. Millionaires next door live below their means, avoiding unnecessary consumption and status-driven spending. They understand that wealth is measured not by income, but by net worth and accumulated assets. Stanley and Danko highlight the importance of financial discipline. Saving before spending, avoiding high-interest debt, and investing consistently are behaviors that compound over decades. These practices are more impactful than earning a high salary alone. The book also reinforces the value of long-term thinking. Millionaires prioritize future stability and growth over immediate gratification. Each financial decision is evaluated for its long-term consequences, ensuring that choices today support independence tomorrow. Another key takeaway is the focus on career and occupation. Millionaires select work where they can excel, control outcomes, and maximize wealth-building potential. Their careers are strategic tools, not just sources of income, allowing them to leverage skill, effort, and opportunity effectively. Stanley and Danko emphasize financial literacy and education. Knowledge about money management, investments, tax strategies, and risk assessment is critical. Millionaires continuously educate themselves, making informed decisions that preserve and grow wealth. The authors highlight the principle of paying yourself first. By prioritizing savings and investments over discretionary spending, millionaires ensure consistent accumulation of capital. This simple habit separates those who achieve independence from those who merely earn and spend. Another insight is avoiding lifestyle inflation. As income grows, millionaires maintain disciplined spending, redirecting additional resources into investments. This restraint accelerates wealth accumulation and preserves financial freedom. The chapter reinforces the concept of control over financial outcomes. Millionaires take responsibility for their decisions, avoid unnecessary risks, and focus on what they can influence. Independence and control are key differentiators from high earners who remain financially vulnerable. Stanley and Danko also emphasize asset allocation and diversification. Millionaires spread resources across various investments, reducing risk and ensuring steady growth. This strategic approach protects against market fluctuations and unexpected challenges. The book highlights the value of habit over income. High income alone does not guarantee wealth. Consistent, disciplined habits, saving, investing, budgeting, are what produce lasting financial results, regardless of how much money flows in. Another takeaway is the quiet nature of true wealth. Millionaires next door are often unassuming, avoiding flashy displays. Their focus is on results, not appearances. This humility allows them to remain disciplined and avoid the social pressures that erode financial security. Stanley and Danko stress the importance of family and intergenerational lessons. Teaching children frugality, independence, and financial literacy ensures that wealth extends beyond a single generation. Habits, not inheritance alone, preserve and grow wealth over time. The authors also remind readers that wealth is cumulative. Every disciplined choice, every reinvested peso, and every avoided impulse contributes to long-term growth. Small, consistent actions outweigh occasional windfalls or sporadic large gains. The chapter underscores risk management. Millionaires evaluate opportunities carefully, balancing potential rewards against risk. They avoid reckless decisions, ensuring that their wealth grows sustainably rather than being jeopardized by impulsive choices. Stanley and Danko encourage self-awareness and reflection. Knowing one's strengths, weaknesses, and goals allows for deliberate decision-making. Millionaires align their career, spending, and investments with personal objectives, maximizing the impact of their efforts. Another takeaway is the importance of automation and consistency. By automating savings, investments, and bill payments, millionaires remove human error and temptation. This reinforces habits and ensures steady progress toward independence. The authors emphasize continuous learning and adaptability. Markets, careers, and personal circumstances evolve. Millionaires stay informed, adapt strategies, and remain capable of making decisions that enhance long-term wealth. The chapter also celebrates patience and persistence. Financial independence is not achieved overnight. It is the product of decades of disciplined choices, steady investments, and adherence to proven principles. Stanley and Danko conclude with a reminder that anyone can become a millionaire next door. The key lies not in inheritance or extraordinary income, but in habits, discipline, and intentionality. Following the steps outlined in the book creates a clear path to financial security and freedom. In essence, this chapter teaches that wealth is earned, preserved, and grown through disciplined action, long-term thinking, and intentional habits. The millionaire next door is defined not by appearances or income, but by the consistent application of principles that transform modest means into lasting financial independence. The final message is empowering. By living below your means, prioritizing savings, investing wisely, and maintaining discipline, anyone can achieve financial freedom, independence, and control over their own future. Wealth is not an accident. It is a choice, a habit, and a lifestyle.